Hello everyone, I'm Vaishnavi from class 7 and today we are going to learn the Indo-Islamic architecture of the chapter Architectural Features in Medieval India. So, hope you are ready with your notebook and pen because it is the second last topic in this chapter. And after this video or after this session, after the Indo-Islamic architecture, we are going to discuss the case study which will be about Shah Jahan, and then we'll study the question answers in my PPT itself, and then you can take the screenshot or snip your pic. So let's get started with my screen share. My beautiful screen share is in front of you. So as my screen share is in front of you over there, you can see a lot of things like the big idea, the Muslim, or we can say the Islamic architecture. So in the this big idea, as we have discussed the first point, temple architecture in medieval India in previous class, and we have studied a lot of styles. Yes. So in today's class, we are going to discuss the Islamic architecture, and contains mosques, it contains tombs, gardens, forts, havelis, dams, and water reservoirs. Okay, so we are going to discuss this topic in today's session, and after that, case study will be our next topic in the next section. So let's start with our PPT. Today's learning objective will be to understand Indo-Islamic architecture, and as you know, we have studied a lot of things already. So, coming to the slide now, Indo-Islamic architecture. First, let's take a brief look at what is Indo-Islamic architecture actually. When we study about the Indo-Islamic architecture, the word Indo-Islamic actually means the Indians, but they are Islamic. They are following the regional form as Islamic. Okay. For example, the temples are there, and the Ram temple or we say Krishna temple are there. So these temples are actually on the basis of Hindu, means Hindu, we can say like that, and on the basis of Islamic, or we can say tombs, or not tombs, but actually, if we talk about the different types of their, just a second, yes, different types of their mosque and gardens and forts. So we see different types of Indo-Islamic architecture at that point of time. And so let's take a look at Islamic structures that took place at the time of Delhi Sultanates and the Mughals ruled India. This line actually means with the rise of Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal rule in India, the evolution of Indo-Islamic style of architecture took place in India also. The Central Asian style of these Muslim rulers blended well in the Indian architectural forms are already used. Okay, so in this whole line, I wanted to say that when the Delhi Sultanate and Mughal were ruling India, at that point of time, the Indo-Islamic structures has actually evolved themselves of a distinctive Indo-Islamic style, and these style are also formed by the Central Asian style that is already being used in the Indian architectural issue in we can say the Indian architectural form. So if we study that how these structures, how these forts, mosques, temples were made, and for what or from which thing they were made. So, if we study about them in briefly, stones such as red stone, yellow sandstone, and marble were mainly used and were most preferred building materials to make these structures. Okay, and while the slave and Khalji architects preferred red stone, the Mughal architects used plenty of white marble. So over here we can see a conflict between two people, which are the Khalji, or we can say the slaves of Khalji, and we see the Mughal architects. So the slaves of Khalji actually used the red sandstone, and to defeat them, the Mughal architects used plenty of white marble. This shows us that making the Indo-Islamic architecture was also having in conflict between each other. So the use of lime as mortar for building purposes was also major development. So the use of limestone, hope you have listened the word limestone in the sedimentary rocks, and these limestones as mortar for building purposes. They were used as the building purposes for the major development. Okay, so they were not so much used in the normal development, but the major development that should be made at time. In order to make a wider entrance, the true arc or the pointed arc was used. Now, what does these points mean? Actually, so the wider entrance means, as we discussed in the uh, previous point of temple architecture in medieval India, there we saw the Dravida style had like huge types of entering gates. Yeah, so in the Indo-Islamic architecture also, they should have they were ordered to make the wider entrance. The true arc and the pointed arc was used. Now, if I show you the true arc and the pointed arc, they are something else. Let me show you on the screen as they are a bit different from our book. So if we go on this page, over here we can see the true arc and the keystones and different things. So if I do annotate my screen, over here we can see the true arc, and over here we can see the keystones. Keystones we'll discuss just a second after. Means like a second has actually gone. Let me explain you this also. The mason used a keen stone and other stones on both sides so that they stay together by the force of pressure. Now, the keystones were actually looked like this. Over here we see this one, and over here we see this one too. So these were known as the keystones. And if I take the next color or the bright color such as red, over here I can also see different types of true arcs. True arcs are something like this. Over here we can see the white palette like thing, and over here we can see the keystones like this. So these are the difference between the true arcs and the keystones. But why they were kept over there? To make the wider entrance. Okay. So if the people are like this, so they would go. It's like too huge. Just a second. Yes. So if I take the true arcs over here, so over here we see the true arc. I was actually saying something so that I would explain you this thing. So yes, we have the true arcs over here. This type of thing, so that the people could go over here, and over here we can also see the slanting mat. Yes, why is that slanting mat put over here? See carefully, it is like this. It is not straight, it's like this, so that the people can go in easily. That's why these true arcs and pointed arcs were used. And so there were other stones also, such as keystone was there. So other stones were also there, which were kept on both of the sides that stayed together by the force of pressure. Okay, and now we are going to study the different topic, which is just a second, everyone. Yes, just going to the previous slide. Right now, we can see the dams, reservoirs, boilies, havelis, etc. in our picture also. So if I see my picture over here, I can see a mosque. Over here, the mosque texture is little bit different. Yes. So here we have the mosque. Like over here, it has a circle type thing, and there we have the pointed. Like these, there were the things kept. So we'll discuss this also. What is this surface called? What is this like line called? We'll discuss this also. And what are these like standing structures called? We are also going to discuss that. And you hope to see over here the beautiful garden. And as I told you, in the Indo-Islamic architecture, there are several types of things such as forts, mosques, tombs, and have some gardens, forts, etc. So over here we see the garden, yeah, and over here we can see a fort, a very famous. We can say the fort of India, of Delhi, which is the Red Fort. And so we see different types of things in the Indo-Islamic architecture. Let's go to the next topic, which is over here. So going to the domes and the double domes. So the domes and the double domes are the distinct feature of the Indo-Islamic architecture. So why are they distinctive? Let's see. A double dome comprises the inner. Listen to me carefully. It comprises double dome comprises the inner and the outer layer. So this can be asked that what does double dome actually comprises? It comprises the inner and the outer layer. Okay, and then the ceiling is placed lower in such a way that proportion. So let me just proportion of the exterior is not disturbed. So if you see this type of thing, uh, dome we can see over here. So it is made interior view is little bit down, and the upper view we see is like this. Yes, so that is why to make it more comfortable into the proportion so that exterior could not be disturbed with the interior. That is why they are made little bit lower from the dome. Okay, and the domes in octagonal shape that rises into two stories. The Mughals are credited with having introduced the double. Listen to me carefully. The Mughals. Keep this thing in mind. The Mughals are the credited with having introduced the double dome in architecture. Okay, and then there was double dome. Obviously, it was it the interior would be little bit down inside. So over here, the interior would be like this, and the we can see the interior would be like this, and the double dome will be upwards, heading towards the up sky. Okay, so over here we can see the domes and the double domes. Let's go to the next slide, which help us to understand more about the designs of the things, or we can say of these types of domes and double domes. So as I told you, I'm going to explain you about these pillars like structures. So over here has the time has came to study about the inner like structures which are known as minarets. So the use of minarets or tall and lean towers based on the system of supermise stories. So superimposed stories of decreasing size was also very common. So in this minarets, why were they used? It can be asked in the short question that why were the minarets used? So uh, we'll write the line as the use of minarets or tall and lean towers based on the system of superimposed stories of decreasing. Listen to me carefully. Decreasing size was also very common. Okay, so over here we can see the minarets, like these thin tower-like structures. These were four. On Taj Mahal, we also see them. On Red Fort, we also see them, and on the Jama Masjid on in Delhi, we also see it, and in the Akbar's tomb in Sikandra, we also see it. So it is very popular in the Indo-Islamic architecture. Okay, and now we have studied these types of architectures. Now we have to study the patterns of those architectures, and we are also going to memorize that what was calligraphy. Okay, so starting in the first topic, which is the patterns. Geometric and floral patterns, including the motifs such as lotus. Now, if you see a building like structure, if you see a temple, so over there, or we can see a frame. For example, I took the example of frame. If you have a frame at your home and there's a picture inside that frame, so over here some types of flowers would be made. If you're having like on different occasions. On birthday there would be like balloons, on candles and something like that. The frames would be also decorated, right? And over here, if you have some beach, so over here the watercolor would be there, like blue watercolor would be there, and also some sharks or something like that would be made. So these patterns are known as the patterns or the floral pattern. So floral pattern actually means when we have flowers. Okay, when we have flowers on a particular thing, when we decorate, so it is known as floral painting, or you can say floral pattern we have made, including the motifs such as lotus, bells, and swastika were beautifully carved on the walls. So these are the names of the, we can say, the flowers which we can see on our screen too. So lotus bell and wait a second. Yeah, lotus bell and swastika were beautifully carved on the walls. It can also be asked the geometric and floral patterns, including the motifs such as the lotus bell and swastika, were beautifully carved on wall. Over here, from also it can be asked. The first word, if we see, was geometric. So, if we discuss about that, what does geometric over here mean? So, geometric over here actually means when we have some shapes. For example, if you have an hexagonal shape, I'm making octagon now. So, it has one side, two sides, three sides, four sides, five sides, six, seven, and we have at the last eight. This is a, what is it? It's a octagon. It is a geometrical shape, right? So it is a geometrical shape. So if we make patterns of this thing, this is known as the geometrical pattern. Hope you have understood the concept of the geometric pattern over here. And actually, it actually only means when we have some geometry shapes. If you take the example of only and only hexagon, or if you only take the example of the circles, if you take example of squares, you draw like this. So this can be a YouTube channel. It's looking like a YouTube, right? Yeah. So over here, it is a geometric pattern over where I have drawn an oval. Inside that, I have drawn a triangle, and outside that, I have drawn a box square. Okay. So and we can actually decorate it also. So I'm not actually practicing the drawing part now. Let's study on the focusing on the studies only. So this type of pattern is actually known as the geometric pattern. Hope this type of pattern is clear to you all. So over here we have discussed two patterns, floral pattern and the geometric pattern. And for today we have this much only in our like syllabus only. And after that we have one more thing which is the most important, which is the patterns often combined. Let us study this topic. After that I'll end this session, and in the next session we'll discuss about more types of patterns in this thing. So we will complete this part, and then we'll actually leave for the rest. Patterns often combined with panels of inscriptions known as calligraphy, which consisted of verses. Let me just remove these tick marks. So, which consisted of the verses from the Quran. You have mostly listened about the word Quran in some types of things. Yes, and the combination of the decorative devices came to be known as Arab Sikh. Okay, so over here we have discussed the calligraphy word, we have discussed the Quran word, we have discussed the Arab Sikh word. So over here, calligraphy is actually written because when we have some manuscripts, the main form of writing manuscripts is known as calligraphy, that we all know. Yes, we have discussed it, the when, where, and how, right? So this type of thing is known as calligraphy, and when we have the verses in the Indo-Islamic architecture, this thing was known as the Quran. Okay, and when we have the calligraphy, this was known as the Quran in the Indo-Islamic architecture. And the Arab Sikh, what is the meaning of Arab Sikh over here? It is when we have the inscription also. Let me just write the inscriptions over here. For example, I am Vaishnavi. I'm writing an inscription for the above centuries coming. Okay, so over here I have written my name, and then I'm drawing some patterns with it. Okay, I'm drawing circle, then circle, then square. Like this, I have drawn some patterns all over here also. And then I have just created a signboard like this. So this is known as the Arab Sikh, when we have some patterns also, and when we have some calligraphy also. So this will be known as the calligraphy, or we can say the Arab Sikh. So hope this point is clear to you all, and just showing the examples of this on the next screen. So these are the like examples. These are known as the Petra Dura, which is the Mughals also introduced the Petra Dura style of inlay decorations in India, using floral designs made of semi-precious stones to decorate the walls. So to decorate their monuments, to decorate their halls and etc. things, they use the floral type of if we talk about the floral pattern. Okay, and then they wrote their calligraphy also under their rule. Okay, and these were known as the Mughals. This Mughals did. Okay, and then we have the Jahangir's tomb in Lahore. The Mughal tombs were generally placed at the center of huge garden complex. The garden complex was divided into square compartments known as the tarbhag. Okay, so as I showed you some gardens before starting this topic, so we have a garden over here also in the Lahore, in the Jahangir's Lahore, Jahangir's tomb in Lahore. Okay, so we have this garden also, which was subdivided into square compartments known as char char bhag. Okay, and then we have bullies or step wells. In many areas you have seen the step wells, which actually look like they have actually square types things, like all over here these square types things are actually present. And this over here in the middle, oops, my squares have vanished. It's okay. So these all things actually over here in the middle we have water. Okay, and the water is actually the main source. That is why they are known as step wells. Why they are known as wells? Because they have water inside them. Okay, and the women have to go down step by step over here. Yeah, they have to go step by step over here and take water and go back to their home. And that's why they are known as step wells, and also they are known as bowlies. Now, this served as wells in which water could be accessed by descending a flight of steps. As I told, they are underneath, they are over here, and woman or man, someone goes to take water, and that's why they are known as bullies also. And that is the only purpose of taking, the basic purpose of the constructing bullies was to reach underground water easily. Underground water, there were no pipes at that point of time, so that is why underground water was made or transported like this only. And if we discuss about the Sheikh Wati Haveli, we have also discussed the Indo-Islamic architecture. Over there, Havelis are also present. So you can read this topic from my slide and actually learn this topic too. So in this topic, it is actually written the private mansions called as Havelis. Actually, Havelis are known as the private mansions. Okay, and they served homes to the nobles, wealthy traders, wealthy. We say health is wealth, right? So when you have a good health, then you will have the good wealth also. So if you have the money, if you have a good health also, then you have wealth also. So wealthy traders and merchants came to stay in these private mansions known as the Havelis. The Havelis sought inspiration from a Persian, Central Asian, Indian, and Islamic styles of architecture. So these all things were comprised in such one Haveli. Okay, and one example of this is over here, frescoes of Shikwati Haveli. Okay, So we have discussed a lot of things about the Indo-Islamic architecture, and after this topic, we are going to discuss the connect to history, which is written over here, and then we are also going to discuss the Shah Jahan and the strength of Mughal architecture. So, taking a leave from you all now, and you have to actually stay home and stay safe at your home. But without recap, we cannot go, right? So, let's go to the recap slide now on the whiteboard. So, today's recapitulation was only about the Indo Islamic architecture, and in the Indo Islamic architecture, we had, let's first write the recap. In the Indo Islamic architecture, in the Indo-Islamic architecture, we discussed different types of monuments, right? In the different types of monuments, we discussed one type that were known as true arcs. We discussed true arcs. What are true arcs? We discussed the pointed arcs. We also discussed the different types of thing, which is known as the keystone. We discussed one more thing, which is known as double dome and dome. Double dome, I didn't write over here. It's okay. Double dome and the domes. And then we have also discussed the minarets. So hope all these topics are clear to you in the Indo-Islamic architecture. And after that, we also discussed the geometric patterns, geometric and floral, floral patterns. Yeah. And also we have one more thing which is known as the Arab Sikh. Okay. Oops. So we have Arab Sikh over here. And at the last, we discuss some examples of Pietrodram Mughals. Let me write in the short form, we discuss about the Mughals. In a short form, that how do they have gardens? How do they have introduced the Petradura? And so for today, we have this much topic itself, and the recapitulation is written on the left hand side. You can just copy that also, and you can just go through the recap session into Islamic architecture. Two arcs, pointed arcs, keystone, double dome, and domes, minarets, geometric and floral patterns, Arab Sikh, and the Mughals. So you can take the screenshot of this chapter and you can take the screenshot of my pages also that I have shared with you. So for today we have this much session itself. For tomorrow, or we can say for the next video, we have a next topic under which is about the Shah Jahan, as I have already told you. So be ready with that topic and don't forget to like and share my video. Thank you and bye bye.